Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today we will be discussing a London session model. Much anticipated, as many of you guys have been asking for it. This specific model will be called the London Twilight Model. Now, just to make something clear right off the start, I do not know if anybody else trades this model. I did not see anyone teach it, nor have I ever seen someone execute it. However, today all is revealed. Let's get right into this. I will try my best to make this a quick video. So here is the agenda for the lesson. We will have the introduction. Secondly, I will describe what the Twilight Zone is. A critical reversal time, meaning where is the highest probable CRT within the London session model. I will show you bullish and bearish scenarios. How can we implement the power of 3 to the London Twilight model? And how can we combine CRTs for precision? As you can see in this image right here, from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m., we have the London time zone. Introduction. So what exactly is the London Twilight model? Well, it is basically designed to capture a quick move, some may call this a scalp, within the last few hours of the London session. That's very important to understand. We are not trading the start, the beginning of the London session. We are only executing on the end of it. This is why we call it the Twilight model. The goal here is not to catch the entire daily range, but instead to catch a quick and high probability scalp. We are not going for home runs, rather we are aiming for specific trades, right? We want very, very, very high probability setups, and the most high probability setups will be quick scalps. In the image on the left, you can see a CRH, candle range high, and a CRL, candle range low. The London session from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. And the Twilight Zone is specifically drawn out here. In the next few slides, I will explain more. You guys are probably all wondering, what is this Twilight Zone that I might be referring to? Well, first off, let's talk London. The London session starts at 1 a.m. New York Eastern Standard Time and ends at 5 a.m. New York Eastern Standard Time. Guys, I can't stress this enough. I've been getting many comments talking about or asking about what time zone to use. Whenever you are trading, as a matter of fact, whenever you open up your trading view, make sure that you are on UTC -4. Every other time zone is useless garbage. Now, the Twilight Zone is near the end of the London session, specifically the last 2 hours. This is very, very important. The Twilight Zone begins at 3 a.m. and ends at 5 a.m. This is a typo. Alright, this is supposed to say 5 a.m. So as you can see here, London session begins at 1 a.m., ends at 5 a.m. The twilight zone starts at 3 a.m. and ends at 5 a.m. Twilight zone depicted in red. And as you can see, we have a reversal within the twilight zone. This is exactly what we will be trying to catch. Not this move. During these specific times, you will look for a turtle soup scalp model to form. Now, whether you will be executing the turtle soup or an order block or a fair value gap or a breaker, whichever model you want to whichever model you would like to enter on, it will be there. And if it isn't, you do not execute. There will always be another London session the next day. It is important to remember that this is a scalping model. This is not to catch the daily expansion. Quick scalps. What does this mean? What is a quick scalp? In Forex, it is 10 to 30 pips. For futures, it is 5 to 20 handles. For those of you who are unsure what handles are, basically it is another word for points. So 5 to 20 handles is 5 to 20 points. That is what you are aiming for. Nothing more, nothing less. So the foundations of the model. Before I get into it, let's just go back. The reason why we call it the twilight zone is because the sun is beginning to rise. The sun is in twilight. All right? Now, the foundations. As I've said before, you can either catch the turtle soup or you can catch the order block. If you guys are more experienced, you can execute breakers. For now, I would like you to focus on entry number 2, the order block. Other than these two entries, the second to last foundation would be CRT within the London twilight zone. Meaning you are trying to locate a specific CRT to be turtle souped within your London twilight time zone. There needs to be a CRT souped from the times of 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. As you can see right here, turtle souping the lower time frame turtle soup, order block formed with a close above, tapping into the order block, expanding higher. For those of you who have been watching my previous videos, you guys know to always take partials at the midpoint of the range. Now, I want to make something clear. If the midpoint of the range is 20 points for futures, you will take out full profits. This is a scalp model. All right? Quick trades. So what time frames do we use? Your goal prior to looking for the model to form is to read market structure. Before you even try looking for your model, before you try seeing the London twilight model, you must understand market structure. Now, how do we actually find market structure? The correct way. Head over to a 15-minute chart, and you want to basically verify whether price is rejecting lows and breaking highs, or rejecting highs and breaking lows. From my previous videos, I have basically explained this. However, I will repeat. Bullish order flow means we are rejecting lows and breaking highs. Bearish order flow is the complete opposite. We are rejecting highs and breaking lows. Your entries for the London Twilight model will come from the 5-minute chart down to the 1 minute. This is specifically discretionary. What does that mean? This means you need to decide what time frame between the 5-minute and 1 minute you will enter. Why? Because you need to calculate your risk to reward. If there is an order block on the 5-minute chart and your R to R remains 3, then you may execute. However, if there is an order block on the 5-minute chart and your R to R is 1, you do not execute. You probably missed the actual trade that played out on the 1-minute chart. So first off, let me explain here. This is bullish order flow. Why? As you can see, we are rejecting lows, breaking highs. Rejecting lows, breaking highs. Rejecting lows, breaking highs. What's going to happen here? Since we are bullish, we are likely to reject a low and break this high. Let's take a deeper look. So heading on to the 1 hour time frame, of course, we want to find our CRT. We have it right here. Why? Because this is a specific time. I will reveal the time later in this video. Heading back onto that 15-minute chart that we saw prior, right here, we can see the CRH and CRL. As I have mentioned, this is bullish order flow. We are rejecting lows and breaking highs. Rejecting lows and breaking highs. We are likely to reject this low and break this high. We are bullish. So let's fast forward the time on the 1 hour chart. This is a perfect 3-candle model. 3-candle CRT. Turtle soup the low. Third candle distribute to the range high. This occurred specifically during the twilight zone, 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. This is what it looks like on the 15-minute. Dropping down to a 3-minute chart, you can see the entry. Turtle soup, for those of you catching it. Order block formed with a close above. Tapping back into the order block, aiming for the consequent encroachment or equilibrium of this range, and ultimately the range high. Why is this the turtle soup? Well, as you can see right here, we formed a large candle where at the bottom of this CRT, high and low, we souped the low. Inside bar, inside bar, inside bar, inside bar, inside bar, ultimately tapping the range high. If you see this on a low time frame, there is a high probability that we will target the high of that lower time frame CRT as well as the high of the higher time frame CRT. That is a little cookie. I will not be diving deeper into it. Now, what time? As mentioned before, you will only be focusing on the end of the London session. Everything before 3 a.m. is noise. Do not execute any trades before. I will repeat this because this is very important. You shall not be executing any of your trades prior to 3 a.m. Focus specifically on 3 to 5. From here on out, we will refer to this time zone as our twilight zone. As I mentioned before, this means the sun is right below the horizon. Now let's focus on finding the correct CRT. As a beginner, you're going to want to draw out your 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. time zone. I marked it right here, twilight zone. The first step of this model is locating the highest probability 1 hour CRT range. You're going to use the 1 hour time frame. The CRT will likely form at 2 a.m., not restricted to 2 a.m. What does this mean? This means that the highest probability CRT will likely be 2 a.m., the 2 a.m. 1 hour candle. However, it can also be the 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. candle. Stay vigilant. The 2 a.m. candle closes at 3 a.m. This is exactly where you will begin to look for entries. Draw the high and low of the 2 a.m. candle on the 1 hour chart. As you can see right here, 2 a.m. candle, high and low. Extend the high and the low through the twilight zone. Now basically you're going to want to wait for one end of the range to be souped. Dropping down to a 5-minute time frame, you can clearly see the high and the low from the 2 a.m. candle. Before we move forward, I just want to clarify some things. This may sound repetitive for those who watched my previous videos. However, this is the most important concept that will boost your trading success. In a bullish scenario, in a bullish market, we want the low of the CRT range to be purged. Then the specific high that caused the purge must be broken. What does that look like? As you can see right here, we purged a low and we broke the specific high that purged the low. This is bullish. Now just imagine this is a CRT. It's the complete opposite in a bearish scenario. We basically want to look for the high of the CRT range to be purged. Then the specific low that caused the purge must be broken through. This is how we confirm bullish and bearish bias. As you all remember, time is fractal in nature. These concepts can be applied to the monthly chart, the daily chart, the weekly chart, the 1 hour chart, down to the 1 minute time frame. This is the bearish scenario. High purged, low that caused the purge broken through. We are now bearish. Where do we reverse? As soon as we reject a low and break the high that rejected the low, price will reverse. Remember, in a bullish scenario, we will be rejecting lows and breaking highs. In a bearish scenario, we will be rejecting highs and breaking lows. Bearish, bullish. Bearish, bullish. The power of 3 within the London twilight. This is key to understanding how the 2-hour time slot actually functions. As some of you probably have seen on my Twitter, I have mentioned the power of 3 within the time slot of 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. This is during the New York kill zone. As we already have learned in the previous videos, the power of 3 represents 3 stages of price delivery. Now, what are the 3 stages? So, what are the times of the 3 stages during the twilight zone. Stage 1, accumulation. This is between 3 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. Stage 2, manipulation. This is between 3:30 a.m. and 4 a.m. Stage 3, distribution. This is between 4 a.m. and 4:30 a.m. This is usually the quickest price action that you will see between all three stages. First example, 2-minute chart. Accumulation, buy side and sell side were created. Manipulation. Where did we manipulate to? We manipulated to a PD array, OTE, between this dealing range and a bearish PD array. Turtle soup distribution lower. This was your model. Now your ultimate target is down here at the 2 a.m. CRL. However, you must also understand, I have mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is a scalp model. High probability setups. In the futures markets, that means 5 to 20 points. That is what you aim for, and you will have an insane hit rate. Absolutely insane. Same example here, accumulation, manipulation to the upside, CRH, candle range high, distribution to the downside. And you must also realize we continued to distribute lower past 4:30. 4:30 to 5 a.m. can also be distribution. Write that down, that's a cookie. Let's dive deeper into this 5-minute example. This is a 1-minute chart. We accumulate sell side and buy side liquidity. We manipulate higher towards key level 2 a.m. CRH. Bearish order block formed on the higher time frame. 5-minute order block. Entry as soon as we close below the 5-minute order block, which would be this candle right here. That would be here. Entry between here and here. Stop loss at the swing high. Shorting all the way down to where ultimately the candle range low. Right here. This right here would equate to over 5 points. However, if you aim for 20, you might have had to wait until here. Recognize the time. 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. Now use the 2 a.m. CRT to help you navigate the dynamics of Power of 3. Use this knowledge of Stage 1 accumulation, 3 a.m. to 3:30. Stage 2 manipulation, 3:30 a.m. to 4 a.m. Stage 3 distribution, and usually the quickest, 4 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. Use that knowledge with the 2 a.m. CRT and you will destroy the markets. Here's an extra tip. This is not essential, however, it can help you locate higher probability setups. This is not essential to succeed within the London Twilight Zone. Alright, I want to make that clear. This is simply an extra filter that you can add to your approach. I've said this in the past. You must have a filter approach. Filter out the bad trades. Filter out the garbage. And only take what is certain. When you are bearish, you want to focus on finding a 15-minute CRT at the high of the 1 hour 2 a.m. CRT. When you are bullish, you want to focus on finding a 15-minute CRT at the low of the 1 hour 2 a.m. CRT. This will drastically bring up the probability of all your setups. This right here. Let's take a look at an example. 2 a.m. high and low, 1 hour CRT, 15-minute CRT. This is the 3 a.m. CRT. 3 a.m. to 3:15, the candle closes on the 15-minute chart, 15-minute candle range high, and 15-minute candle range low. As you can see, we manipulated above the candle range high, came below, order block formed, entry as soon as we close below and tap into it. You would have had 2 chances to enter this. You would have already hit your take profits, as this is a scalp model. 5 to 20 points for futures. OTE entry if you're more comfortable entering during the power of 3 manipulation time slot. Manipulation into a PD array and an OTE. Turtle soup, distribution candle if you want to wait for the third one. Distribution candle, trending lower, TP's hit. Ultimate targets are the 2 a.m. CRL, however all of your targets would have already been hit. Remember, this is a scalper's model. I always will repeat. The last and most important, bias. Understanding bias. A lot of comments have been made on my previous videos about understanding the bias. You need to understand the overall bias before even drawing out the 2 a.m. 1 hour CRT. But how do you do this? That's the question. For this, you'll need to look at the Asia range high and low. What exactly is the Asia range? Why does it help us determine the draw on liquidity? I'll discuss more about this in the next slides. As you can see right here, this is the Asia range. High and low between a specific time slot. The Asia range is a specific time window that begins at 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time Zone and ends at midnight New York Eastern Standard Time Zone. Measure the Asia range high and low. Extend those highs all the way through to the London Twilight Time Zone if you need it. There is a high probability that London session will soup one end of the Asia range, either the high or the low. This will help you set the bias for the entire day, not only for the London Twilight Zone, but for the entire day. There are magnificent things that you can do with the Asia range. I like to call it magic. However, it's not really magic, but it truly is amazing that everybody underestimates the power of the Asia range. I wonder why. A high probability daily market profile is a turtle soup during the London session and an OTE during the New York AM session, ultimately leading towards the draw on liquidity. That is a little key. I'm not going to go in depth about this right now because this is not an Asia range lesson. I have offered this. You guys have wanted me to create the London lesson. However, don't worry, the Asia range will come out soon. Use this knowledge to help you find the correct turtle soup during the London Twilight Zone. Study this image. I will not explain it, however, you shall study it. Now, this is probably the most important part of the video. This is probably going to eliminate all of your losses. Well, not all, but most of your losses. And this will probably also be the determining factor between the amateurs and the professionals. What if you don't see the model? Well, then you should not trade it. If you do not see a model, you should not trade it. Do not force a trade because it needs to be there. The trade does not need to be there in your eyes. What does that mean? If you don't enter a trade, you always have the next day's London session. You don't need to trade. The more time you are out of the markets, the safer you are. This is logic. The model will be very clear and obvious when it appears. You'll find yourself saying, I have to try that. And when you say that, if you don't think or say, I have to try that turtle soup, then the setup isn't there. Don't force it. It's not worth it. When you tell yourself, I have to try that, that's exactly when you need to enter. That's when you need to try it. I'll talk more about the Asia range in an upcoming lesson. There's a lot of secrets behind it that nobody is really revealing. ICT talks about it many times. A lot of people fly by. For now, understand that the Asia range can help you determine where price will go to the exact tick. Let's get back to the charts, guys. Backtest and study everything that you've learned so far. If you've watched this entire video, you are ahead of the game. There's a lot of amateurs out there, and I'm pretty sure they're lurking. People who do not want to study, do not want to put the time in, and treat this as a serious business, as it is. For those people who think this is a video game, instant success will not last. This is a business and must be taken seriously. With that being said, have a nice one and good luck trading.